big plantation, fussing and fighting among ourselves. Nothing to achieve this way. It's worse than hell, I say. Get up and fight for your rights, my brother. Get up and fight for your rights, my sister. Get up and fight for your rights, my brother. Get up and fight for your rights, my sister. Get up and fight for your rights, oh, my brothers. Get up and fight all.
Taurus Riley, Janeeth Bailey and Richie Loops make good music.
If you use music for any commercial purpose, you need a JCAP license.
Of course, and I benefit when my music is used commercially.
JCAP, the Jamaica Association of Composers, Authors and Publishers, protects the rights of its members and worldwide creators of musical works by issuing licenses for the use of these works.
If you use music for any commercial purpose,
You need a JCAP license.
comply with the law.
Call JCAP at 948-5937 and 948-6439.
Get a JCAP license now.
Mr. Brown, the work material done, you know. What me fi do?
Check Robinson's and Sons Hardware, man. Them have everything you need and more. They are at 18 West Palm Avenue, Port Antonio, Portland. Paints, nails, doors, everything to meet your hardware needs and much more. Call them at 993-9763 or 382-6209 and email them at sandarhardware@gmail.com.
Mr. Brown, me get everything we need quick and fast. Sure. But if we could have just stopped the chatting, so we could have done the work just as fast.
What was that, Johnny?
No, man. We just say Robinson and Son are going good.
Robinson's and Sons Hardware. We are always here to serve you.
Listen to me, driver. Move this dilapidated vehicle out of the road. How comes you have this good car and make it broke down by you?
Mr. Lewis, you are engine and me cannot afford the engine, sir.
Better Wheels in Galena and Portland have engine. They have GA15 engine, SR20, SR18, QG15, 2JZ, 3S, 1G, 7K, 4E, 5A, and the engine where you use 1NZ. No girl and no Better Wheels go by the engine and move the piece of thing out of the road, man. And don't give the police extra work.
Mr. Lewis, me I tell you, say God send your boss.
Don't tell me foolishness. It's God send Better Wheels.
Styles FM, you're my number one.
Styles FM.
Metamorphosis here with Dr. Iman Block, taking you through the stages, through the paces, hoping that you are arriving closer to yourself. The self is an infinite realm, dimension of space and time. Yeah, the self is a supreme entity. The I is at the center of that powerful self. Yeah, the African people, African identity, Rastafari conference at the University of the West Indies last week. I wanted to talk to us, continue making a few remarks on that conference, trying to see if what has really been the movement of Rastafari on this plantation since emancipation. Right, it's 175 years now since the island has been emancipated, and 51 years of political independence. Within that whole mix, Rastafari's emergence in the 1930s puts Rastafari within the 70, 85-year realm. What has been the impact of this movement? And how much has the voices of resistance and oppression, rather, to Rastafari changed? Now, a lot of people who are perhaps listening to the program, a lot of persons who were born after Gilbert may not understand in plenty of the history of this island. A lot of persons who were born since the 1990s, the internet generation and the globalization period, a lot of these people are sort of unconscious of things happening before. A lot of these people think the world actually started with the computer, with the internet. So it's important sometimes to recall and to revisit our story, that we can go forward with in a greater sense of glory, with knowledge of where we have been from and how do we avoid certain things. Now on this island, Rastafari in the 2013 was able to manifest a conference on Rastafarian issues globally. And the conference was staged at the University of the West Indies at Mona. Now, this is 51 years now after the massacre of Rastafari at Coral Gardens. So the Prime Minister closed the function with a speech, and she made mention to the improvements by Rastafari to the point wherein Rastaman moved from being hidden from in a mattress by his wife to save his life from the police to intellectual settings, and should consider this as a great improvement. Now, I am wary about that type of statement. I think it has a double edge. And so I want to just briefly give my listeners a little insight into really what happened in Coral Gardens. What really happened, why it is such an important event now in time, that the Prime Minister will make it clear that her government will have to address this injustice, even though her government was not in power at the moment. What really was this Coral Gardens massacre? What really was the effect of these things on Rastafari generally? So I'll give you a quick briefing. You know that there was a situation wherein man who used to grow beard, what we call bearded man, became a sort of position of resistance. In other words, now, the bearded man was being rejected by the society. Something about the bearded man that those who governed the society did not like. And so there was a campaign against bearded man generally. Now, 1963, Coral Gardens. They call it the Coral Gardens incident, but the event was much more serious than just an incident. About 4 a.m. on Holy Thursday, 6 bearded men set fire to a gas station in Coral Gardens. They were armed with machetes, guns, bows, and arrows. I'm really reading now from a document presented by Professor Carolyn Cooper, and it was published April 7, 2013. The headline was, "Bring in all Rastas, dead or alive." Now, these are the words of Sir Alexander Bustamante, national hero and the first Prime Minister of independent Jamaica. Buster said, "Bring in all Rastas, dead or alive." Now, this was a death threat, and it turned all Rastafarians into villains. whether they were guilty or innocent. Rastafarians could no longer expect to enjoy the protection of the law. All Rastafarians were completely demonized and became victims of comprehensive state brutality. And all of this simply because 6 bearded men set fire to a gas station. The leader was a man called Rudolph Franklin, and he had a grievance against the owner of the gas station, a man called Ken Douglas. Just a little insight into a situation in which the government in 1954, under the premiership of Bustamante, burned down the Rastafarian encampment in Pinnacle. Pinnacle was close to Sligoville. Pinnacle was a productive agricultural center, yielding rich crops such as cassava, peas, corn, and of course, ganja. Maintaining African collective labor, Pinnacle flourished under the leadership of Leonard P. Howell. So Rastafarians, that has been the genesis of the Coral Gardens incident. Rastafarians were chased all over the country. Rastaman have run up and hide. Now we see a conference at the University of West Indies. Is that a sign of progression? They still take me off the bus. They still say all Rastas come off the bus. Have we really progressed? Can you imagine bringing our Rastas, dead or alive, straight out of the wild, wild west? Tough plantation. Rastafari said peace and love, black unity. And some brethren also got into some very serious reasoning about His Imperial Majesty. And some Rastaman get into some serious reason about the Almighty and the powers of the high and all sort of discussion about time and space and the genesis and the creation of man and the Most High and whole leap of biblical reasonings. And I realize that we are grounded seriously in that construct called the Bible. Very important book in black culture. But some of my brethren now within that same tradition, we're trying to show I know that we are all of the human race. And peace and love means about love of the human race. And I was telling them that His Imperial Majesty never talk about the human race. He spoke about the African race. And people who are trying to argue race as this so-called social construct. I'm saying to the item, race is a biological reality. And the philosophy that holds one race superior over the other is what we must downtrod. So we're not going to hide from the concept of race, but we're not going to hide within this illusion of everybody being a member of this human race. I and I is a member of the African race. And the African race is the African race. The human race must be the people out of Europe. Metamorphosis, moving into I word, sound, and power. In this segment, looking at the construct of the I, looking at the me, looking at the self, looking at the spirit, the soul, the mind. All of these compartments and areas that we have been given through literature that they say make up ourselves. How do we classify and clarify our own selves? How do we arrive at our identity? So there's foundation, and the foundation in identity rests in your physiology, because everything rests in the physical as a base. So the foundation is the physical. So we keep exploring the physiology of the black man. Yes, the physiological makeup that can be verified and re-verified and checked from different angles. So keep going forward now to the notion of the trees. That the trees are really the most important players on this planet. Without the trees, there is no breathing. Without the trees, there is no oxygen. Plants provide oxygen for animals and for man. Plants provide food, plants provide medicine, plants provide shelter. Foundation, the tree. Man is a tree. We're saying the original man is a tree. Limbs and trunk, veins, and within that physical structure there is also a tree of glands. There's a glandular tree within man. We're looking at the original physiological construction of the black man, and on this tree we find glands. These glands, we can say, originate at the base, and the basal glands are the sex glands. We call them the gonads. And the tree in man rises through the structure, through the abdominals, through the adrenal glands, through the pancreatic glands, straight to the pituitary gland, and to the highest gland in man, which is the pineal gland. Now that tree within I and I, original black man, is what defines us as black, because at the top of the tree is the pineal gland, and the pineal gland is responsible for the creation of the melanin in the skin. So there's an identity issue that can be resolved at the level of the physiology of the black man. This is why I and I can classify ourselves as black. Blackness is because of the functional workings of the pineal eye at the top of this tree within I. So it gives a definition. That gland connects I to the external environment. Yes, it is that gland in the center of the brain. So you see, the brain is a great organ, but within the brain rests a gland called the eye. This eye has the shape of a pyramid. This eye is all seeing. This eye is all powerful. This is the eye we need to connect and reawaken, to shake off that zombie-like state that most black people are in, clouded up by religious confusion. So look at the tree within man, the endocrine tree. We got to do the biology of the self. We're not talking about anything spiritual here. We're not talking about anything philosophical. We're talking about something physiological, driven by biology. So there is a black man, and this black now is not a color. This blackness is a state of energy. It's a state of absorbing all radiant energy. This black is not a color. This blackness is a state of nature. It's a condition of the universe. That is the blackness of the man. That is linked to the continent that we call Africa. Yes, and Africa is not just the continent. Africa is wherever the melanin people are in abundance. So we see the tree of life within man. So these points of energy along the tree Some cultures call it chakras. Yes, chakras. Some may even call them seals. So the Christian mind hears about the 7 seals. What is the first? What is the 7th? Well, perhaps the 7th seal is the pineal gland, the highest point on the tree. It is through knowledge that we can open up that eye that is within. So we have blackness as a biological identity. And I'm saying now that whiteness has no foundation in biology. Whiteness is a political identity, has no foundation in physiology or anatomy. Whiteness is a political identity. Metamorphosis, going forward, going forward, going forward. Reflecting on even what has been said previously, one of my Facebook listeners, Brother Charles, saying that whether the PNP or JP in power during the Coral Gardens massacre is unimportant. It was really a attack by a class. In other words, it was a class attack on Rasta. And you know, as I continue to speak about this Coral Gardens incident, it really was about the landless. It's a matter of the landless. But I will get forward to that again as I continue into the metamorphosis. Right now, we're still looking at the issue of identity. They will continue to speak to this issue of identity and this important structure within the physiological makeup of black people. This gland that is called the pineal gland. In the universities, they only speak about the pituitary. And they don't go any higher in describing the glands of the endocrine system. Right across the whole Western world, there's a conspiracy not to teach I about the pineal gland. Pineal, pineal, pineal. And glands we know are important organs, or perform the functions of releasing important hormones, and hormones is what blood gets messages from to make enough things work within. So we find that the makeup the makeup of man, this physiological tree, this endocrine system, in the black people, it goes from the gonads, which is the sex organs, to the highest gland in the tree, which is the pineal. The pineal gland is in the center of your brain, between both eyes. Almost, if you could look through your forehead, the center of your forehead, and the middle of your head, there's this little organ called the pineal eye. Now, this gland is so important. It separates man from mankind and man-like beings. So there are a group of people now who, believe it or not, do not really have a functional pineal eye. Yeah, most of the people of Europe have a non-functional pineal gland. It is considered to be calcified, meaning say it hard up and it don't work. So there's a great difference in meditation and in viewing life and the universe and the cosmos by one set of people having this gland and one set of people not having that gland. The black people possess the pineal eye. It's a reality. It's what makes the people black. The people that we call Caucasians, 95% of the Caucasian people have pineal glands that are not functional. Serious difference in behavior and in attitude. So the African people see self as members of an African race. The people of Europe see themselves as human beings. Let's not be confused about all of us being members of this one human race. Yes, we have our differentiation. There is mankind, there is man. There are man-like beings, all kind of things walking on 2 feet. Consciousness about our blackness is what we need. Metamorphosis. Yeah, we'll continue to explore the notions of identity, mind, soul, spirit. These are terms that we've been given. For example, soul. We always hear about man and his living soul. And we go to the book of Genesis to make our reference, hearing that man was given the breath of life and man became a living soul. That's one of the first places we come upon this notion of soul in the Christian scripture, that the breath is equivalent to the soul. And if that is true, then obviously the animals also have souls, because they were here breathing long before man. So what really is the soul of man? If the soul of the man is the breath. Yes, a lot of things breathe. Are we saying that those things also have souls? We like to think that man is so unique that his man alone have a soul. So maybe we have to re-examine that concept of soul equal breath, since all living things tend to have some form of respiration process. So we're looking at the mind concept. Where is the mind, and how do we locate this thing called mind? You ask a man to use his mind and point him forward, and there's a connection now between his head and his mind. So let us hold that connection between your head and your mind. If you explore now your head, or what is really inside your head, you're going to say that at the fundamental level there is the brain. So then there's a connection now between the brain and mind. Are they identical? If not, what are the connections between the concepts of mind and brain? We, and I have to be able to be clear that we have a better way of using our energies. What I'm going to propose to the item who are listening now is that this notion of mind that we have been given is not a personal thing. Yeah, I'm saying none of us really have a personal mind. From the egg and the sperm connect, mind had always existed. In other words, before you're even born, there is mind. So when you're born, you're literally born in an ocean of energy that we can call the mind. Remember, you have your brain now inside your head, you know. We're trying to make a distinction now between this energy field that surrounds us, in which we are born, and our brain, which is the director now of our ship. So it is the brain that must tap into the energies of the mind. No individual necessarily owns a mind. When a man says my mind, he's really talking about his brain, or the thoughts that are created in his brain. But the mind is a universal energy field, and all individuals can tap into the energies of the mind. So liberation comes through knowledge. So we're going to take the mind out of our heads and make space for the brain to function. And we're going to take the soul out of our head and define the soul now as our skin. The vehicle in which we are traveling is the soul. Clarity, metamorphosis. So the mind is just the mental ocean in which we travel. Currents, waves, ideas and thoughts, feelings make up this universal ocean of mind energy. It is the I in the brain that must navigate through this ocean of energy called mind. Strengthen your brain. Read, reason, exercise, strengthen the brain. Then you pull from the mind all the energy that you need, because in the mind the energy is infinite. Infinite powers drawn from the mind. one of my Rasta brethren them now, ancient Rasta man, more ancient than ancient say. This is a Rasta man who went to the court for the first time and refused to swear upon God, insisting that him call upon Jah. Yeah, ancient man. I'm telling you about heavens, that the Almighty created the heavens and the earth, and that there are 3 heavens. So I say, Jabby, what do you mean 3 heavens? Yes, then begin to expound on 3 heavens. So why not about 7 heavens? There could be 7 heavens. I have an ex-brother named Nabi Natural will tell you about the 9 heavens. So all of these notions of heaven and earth and hell and belows are constructs that are out of the imagination of men. Serious thing. But the consciousness of 7 levels of consciousness and 7 heavens, people sometimes associate that with the chakras of the body. That each chakra is a heaven. It's a center of consciousness, center of energy. And if you explore the body of the female, it is the clitoris that has the highest level of energy, nerve endings. Yeah, it's a very vital chakra in the body of the female. So, exploration of the self through anatomy and through physiology opens up the imagination as well. Because the imagination now is that great tool, this great office that we have, that the brain can generate ideas. Some of them can be brought into reality, some of them can only remain as an idea. But the power is within the eye. And we want African people recognize that the pineal eye, once the eye is open, all illusions blow away, and our story becomes a greater reality. Once the eye is closed, then we begin to fuddle around searching for a beginning. The African past is limitless. There is no genesis. There is no beginning. There is no end.
Styles FM.
Metamorphosis, moving into Africa and world affairs. Our story, the perspective of Africa from I view. Because we have this notion of respect for all views. So the worldview of Iman Black is what it is. Looking at ancient Egypt as a centerpiece for recovery. And you know, the pyramids, one of my listeners again, Brother Akin, searching, thinking youth, asking about wormholes and different type of galaxies and universes, recognizing that man is not necessarily a terrestrial being. The ancient original colonizer of this planet doesn't necessarily have been a created being on this planet. There are those whose imagination and consciousness has been able to move themselves away from this geocentric perspective of Earth, that all life generates on this one planet and there is nowhere else. There are many of us who recognize that life actually could have come from other places, that this planet could have been seeded by other intelligences. Christianity sort of blocks up that view by giving you an idea of a world being formed and men coming and people coming out of a garden. Again, me ancient brethren who I woke up at the conference, challenging me to the notion that the earth is only 6,000 years old. This is what Christendom has been forced to believe. And my brethren is an intelligent brethren. My brethren is an ancient brethren, well read. And he is locked into the idea that the earth is only 6,000 years old. That's a very, very serious box to be locked into. Because a 6,000 year earth history doesn't do any justice and give any space for the pyramids. The pyramids that have been here for 5,000, 6,000 years before the Christian era would simply cannot fit into the Genesis and the Exodus story of the earth. So whose story must we accept? Do we accept the story that is practical, that is evidential, that is clear, that is standing in front of us like the rocks of the pyramids? Or do we go along with a mythical set of fables, myths about ancient Egypt, myths about the earth? We have to free ourselves now with knowledge. So the ancient pyramids now stand between reality and fantasy. The pyramids are a reality. What is the fantasy? The fantasy is the stories that have been told about the earth and its history that omits the lifetime of the pyramids. So for example, my brethren said the world is 6,000 years old. And he says the Son of God came 2,000 years ago. So 4,000 years of earth life before the Son of God. 4,000 years. And in those 4,000 years now, he had explained to me the flood of Noah. How did the flood of Noah function and operate within those 4,000 years? And how many years of African history now did Noah's flood wash away? Very, very serious problem for those who are trying to live out of the Genesis and the Exodus and the King James version of reality. Because time becomes so truncated that events become unrealistic. So the ancient Egyptians have their pyramids there. And the question is, was Noah's flood after the pyramids? Or were they before? When were the floods of Noah? When was the earth and its population mystically wiped away? That we now have descendants of Noah, and we have these people as real people. It's a very, very serious question I'm posing to the item. Those who are historians and those who are trying to find themselves. Because the pyramids are standing, and we are forced to believe that the floods of Noah washed away all existence and left only 8 people. And we are forced to believe that Abraham, who is going to become the father and the foundation of the nation of Israel, that he's going to be a descendant of Noah. Are all these characters real, or are these characters fantasy? Where does Noah's flood fit into the history of the pyramids of ancient Africa?
uncomforted, but Israel don't have it already. Man, a time for you get steady, cause everybody don't know Jaja already. Africa, we're coming to take it. Here I come. Boy, 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 boy. Africa, here I come. Ethiopia land is best of all. Repatriate and make we take it all. Enough land for you and I, man. Work hard and make we do it in a yard. Africa, we're coming to take it. Here I come. Oh, oh, oh. Africa, here I come. See your people coming. When we go there, we not run with it. Jaja no say we are fit. When we go there, we not run with it. Jaja no say we are fit. Africa have some real nice people. When you reach there, I know you will see it. Enough land for you and I, man. Work hard and make we do it in a yard. Africa, boy, we now run left it. Here I come. Boy, 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 boy. Africa, boy.
Now you think that Africa is a very, it's such a serious place, you know, that if we get to understand ourselves through the knowledge of ancient Egypt, we will be free from King James. Because 2,375 years before the Christian era, what we're saying, 2,375 years before the Christian era, the ancient Egyptians had a principle called Mat. M-A apostrophe A-T, Mahat. Now we're talking about 2,500 years, 2,400 years before the birth of the Christian Jesus. And the ancient Egyptians personifying Mat as a goddess. And Mat represented the principle of morality, of truth, balance, order, law, and justice. Yeah, the ancient African people had the concept of truth long before the first Jew or the first Hebrew even existed. So long before Abraham, long before Moses, long before all those writers, the ancient Africans had the concept of Mahat. Principles of truth and balance, order, law, and justice. And it was personified as a female. It was Mat who created order out of chaos. Yes, and Mat had a partner. And Mat's partner was Tot, the god of writing. This is where we are coming from, people. This is our story. This is our legacy. We're not introduced to truth and balance and order through King James and Lord God and all of these stories of good and evil. That's not our genesis. We know about order, we know about morality, we know about balance, and we know about truth. And this comes through the male and the female principles in operation. Mahat and Tot. Ancient Africa. Egypt right now is blazing because our story is deeply written in the experiences of the Africans there. Over 6,000 years ago, long before anybody in Europe was even conceptualized. We can't hold on to no 6,000 year story. We can't fit into Moses' fables. We can't fit into Noah and his ark. We reject the notion of this delusion. So the flood is really a delusion. We have been deluded by a great delusion. Imagine African people coming out of an ark with a son who's going to be cursed. Fables, mythologies. It is not our story.
morning, morning. Watch the language that you use. Ensure a comprehension with the words them that you choose. Simplify a statement or attention you will lose unless you are intentionally trying to confuse. Cause I refuse to sit back and watch you hold people down, putting in your top positions while the rest of them are drowned. Cause in the sentence of creation, all you are is just a noun. The verbs, action, words that put the power to the sound. And that's where
To the African mind, Maat bounded things together in an indestructible unity. Yes, the principle of Maat is what kept all things together in a very strong and powerful unity. That is the concept of Mahat. To the African mind, ancient truth.
they say is what you see. Cause this one is a warning. Warning, warning, warning. A warning, warning, warning. Warning, warning, warning. Yes, this one is a warning. Warning, warning, warning. A warning, 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 warning. Make sure you're comprehending all the words where them are choose. Learn to simplify their statements and to analyze the clues. Cause it seems they are intentionally trying to confuse. So refuse causes ignorance to hold the people down. Just reach toward enlightenment and you can never drown. In the question of creation, you are greater than the known. The verb, the action, word that put the power to the sound. Cause you could burn it to the ground and wealth is for the few. They feel that there is no one they should have to answer to. But they fear they're not aware of what the youths them plan to do. Rising up a people's army out of every ghetto crew. Unite the people with the true information is the key. Yes, knowledge is the only way the people will be free. So it isn't just a choice, it's a responsibility to keep aware so you can judge if what they say is what you see. Cause this one is a warning, 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 warning. A warning, 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 warning.
Styles FM.
I hear my virgin DJ Prestige and his popular program on Tuesdays called Smoozik. Yes, Bama Bala. Yes, hail to the man in this program. I want to also hail up somebody else from Telezo.
recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Recall them. Recall them. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Recall Paul Bogle, recall Marcus Garvey, recall Nelson Mandela. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Recall them. Recall them. Recall Malcolm X. Recall Martin Luther King. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Let's recall some great men who've been fighting for our rights. Recall them. Recall them.
Metamorphosis celebrating in this Black August, and we're recalling our great heroes and heroines in this struggle for liberation. You know, sometimes I wonder, in the Christian mind, when all our liberators die, do they go to heaven or do they go to hell? Where does Paul Bogle, where does Sam Sharp, where does Nani go? Do they go the same place as Queen Elizabeth and Henry Morgan and John Erie? So that's why we have to recognize that something is not right in that teaching about heaven and hell and your soul where you die. We have to re-examine that whole story, because for too long our great men and women have just simply died and their works become stagnated. We turn them into heroes and everything becomes stationary, while the wealthy becomes wealthier, rich becomes richer. Yes, and I just keep calling upon the Almighty for more and more. So even that forced me to re-examine this whole notion of this Almighty and the shadow of the Almighty under which we all dwell. Is it time for I to remove ourselves from under that shadow? Maybe it's about time we get some light to shine upon I. Yes, as individuals. We're looking at Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was a very important black man in the journey of black people out of the plantocracy, out of the fields of the cotton fields and the banana and the sugar plantation. He's considered to be perhaps the first African American intellect. And the intellect is an important aspect of our development. It's a part of the brain that needs serious work. The intellect. So Frederick Douglass, early liberator, recognized the importance of fighting for the abolition of his own race. So a lot of I get an opportunity to get an education, but we end up using the education to enrich those who are already wealthy, meaning those who are become our employers. We don't move towards becoming our own employers and become to create employment for other people. We send our children to school to get jobs, and the job must give them a salary. And if there is no job, the child is told that there's nothing he can do. There's a youth who killed herself after applying for 21 jobs. Over 200 jobs rather. Didn't get the job, but had something like 20 subjects. So how we use our education is very important. And if we don't use our education in a constructive way, we're going to maintain this plantocracy. Frederick Douglass was a brilliant man. But he didn't use his education to enrich himself. He used it for the benefit of the race. So once you can uplift yourself individually, once you can uplift your family and your community, your next responsibility is to the race. So Frederick Douglass, an important soldier in the intellectual struggle, identifying Africa as an important point of reconstruction. And like many of the intellects of North America, got confused between what he called two souls. The soul of the black man, who he recognized as special, and the soul of this new breed that they were trying to create called an American. The American, of course, was based upon the whole ideology of white supremacy. And so the black intellect had to negotiate in that space with the ideology that is promoting supremacy, knowing within self that the African race was a special race. Frederick Douglass, an important icon in the struggle of black people in North America, born 1818, died in 1895. One of the heroes of our own, Marcus Messiah Garvey. He was a leader of abolitionist movement. He escaped slavery and moved along in terms of liberation. He was a physician. He was a black nationalist. We need to resurrect those type of consciousness. Frederick Douglass was a bearded man. If he was in Jamaica, he would have been chased out because the society fights against the bearded man. Frederick Douglass was a black nationalist. Couldn't survive in Jamaica. That's why Garvey had to run. Garvey didn't meet him. He died before the meeting physically took place. But Frederick Douglass, a very important figure in our liberation struggle.
Every nation have to do it. Every nation have to do it. Every nation have to do it. Make them do it. Yeah, make them do it. Make them do it.
I want to share with you finally a quote from Douglass. Frederick Douglass said, "I love the pure, peaceable, and impartial Christianity of Christ. I therefore hate the corrupt, slave-holding, women whipping, cradle plundering, partial and hypocritical Christianity of the land. Indeed, I can see no reason but the most deceitful one for calling the religion of this land Christianity. I look upon it as the climax of all misnomers, the boldest of all frauds, and the grossest of all libels. Never was there a clearer case of stealing the livery of the court of heaven to serve the devil. I am filled with unutterable loathing when I contemplate the religious pomp and show, together with the horrible inconsistencies which everywhere surrounds me. We have men stealers for ministers, women worshippers for missionaries, and cradle plunderers for church members. The man who wields the blood-clotted cow skin during the week fills the pulpit on Sunday and claims to be a minister of the meek and lowly Jesus." These are some of the words of Frederick Douglass. Where justice is denied, where poverty is enforced, where ignorance prevails, and where any one class is made to feel that society is an organized conspiracy to oppress, rob, and degrade them, neither persons nor property will be safe. Frederick Douglass. Metamorphosis, getting into the deconstruction of mythologies and allegories and fables and nursery rhymes and things of literature, devices that have been put upon our brains. Some of them we have no time to even consider, nor to reflect upon, nor to even reject. But the metamorphosis will assist in bringing some of the data close up. Oftentimes, you know, the system have us fully engaged in trying to meet the bills. So I who oftentimes, you know, have to be doing all sort of other stuff called research, and in writing, we use the opportunity to sort of help to share the information with the ones who are not so engaged. It's all about taking it out of the halls of the university and spreading it out for all ones to over and ingest. Because knowledge should not be locked up into any specific book nor any specific institution. Knowledge needs to circulate amongst the brains of the people, that they can utilize the knowledge with their brain and to generate things that will uplift their own status. Now, again, making reference to this Rastafarian conference, 1 week of it at the University of West Indies campus, we were saying 51 years after the massacre in Coral Gardens. And two sounds were uttered consistently through the whole conference: Rastafari and the Almighty. But I kind of This cry of Rastafari. After a while, it began to sound almost like the Christian church and the Amen. You know, everybody is saying Amen. Well, Rastafari began to be uttered in that type of way. But the cry upon the Almighty now is what I want to speak to. Because once the level of anger began to rise and people began to show frustration, the biggest calm to all the frustration was just to mention the Almighty. And everybody would just seem to calm down. So I began to reflect on this whole notion of the Almighty and how we just put things in the hands of the Almighty and we just leave all things unto God. And we've been leaving all these things and putting these things into the hands of the Almighty for generations, for centuries. And our social and political and economic condition has not improved. So I'm questioning the nature of this thing called the Almighty. And is it not the ultimate boogeyman that keeps us all in check? Yes, the whole idea of the Most High. So once we reach up into a situation where we have to resolve it practically and physically, we just stop there and we say, alright, we can pass it on now to the Most High. And the Most High shall judge and make decisions. So where is the will of man? When my brethren, the ancient Rastaman, tell I that we must abandon our will and accept the will of the Father. Because it's the Father's will that shall be done. So the reason get very tense, because I began now to defend the will of the I. That original divine will versus this concept of the will of the Father. And whose will must define I destiny. So the challenge is about understanding the will of the Father versus the will of the I. And if there's no will of the I, then everybody is a slave. Then we are all slaves to the concept of the Almighty. And then what is the Almighty? Who is it that has constructed this notion of the Almighty? What is the characteristics and the nature of this Almighty? Well, we have been given the concept of an Almighty that is based upon a Hebrew story. And this Almighty is a sort of representation of power through the eyes of a character called Moses. So Moses brings to African people in the Western world this concept of the Almighty. And this Almighty now is the God of Abraham. This Almighty now is the God of Moses. This Almighty is the God of Jacob and Israel. So this is Almighty, the concept that black man in the Western world and Rastafari have been locked under. And under that concept, we have abandoned the will. The will that created the pyramids. The will that created the mathematics of Babylonia. The science and the mathematics, we have abandoned that driving power that is the will and the imagination. So I'm saying the Almighty doesn't seem to be working in favor of the black people. This construct of the Almighty, this construct of the Most High. And I've seen European people come amongst black people, and when we get belligerent with them about the past and what they've done, they say, it's alright, the Most High will see it, and we'll just calm down. So I'm saying, no, ultimately, the ultimate slave master, the one that controls our greatest fear, is the Almighty. Isn't it about time we re-examine now this shadow under which we have put ourselves of this Almighty, and under this shadow we have been in the bottom of the slave ship, while other people praise the Almighty on the top. We are re-examining the whole thing. Re-examining the stories, re-examining the fables of Moses, re-examining the mythologies put forward in the book of Genesis and Exodus. Metamorphosis, deconstructing.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and no religion too. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday.
Yeah, the myths of Moses are embedded into the minds of most Christian people. You see, Moses is a character that we need to explore carefully, because I am wondering if Moses even had a reality in flesh within the Egyptian history. The Egyptians don't speak about any character named Moses. This is all from the Hebrew perspective of their story. And so when this man claims that he has a vision from the God of Abraham, yeah, he had a vision from the God of Abraham, and this vision showed him how the world was created. This is 1200 years before the Christian era. And so my brother, who accept this 6,000-year history of the earth, he has read into the book of Genesis that the world was created in 6 days. DAYS is what we have to examine, because in the ancients of anciency and the knowledge of science and the earth, DAYS really could be represented by ERAS. So what they call a day in that fable, really in real time, would be an era. An era meaning one of the time periods that would occupy thousands of years. For example, during the era when the reptiles were dominant on the earth. During the era when the birds were dominant on the earth. These are various eras that cover tens of thousands of years. So if we look at the thing practically, 6,000 years of history is a joke. Undoubtedly, it's a joke. The amount of time it takes for plants to grow, to oxygenate the atmosphere, we're talking about hundreds and thousands of years. So on the Christian mind, be brave enough to step into reality and step out of the mythologies and the fantasies of the one called Moses.
Just a
Yeah, we just continue to deconstruct some of those stories and the fables that we get in that infamous book called the King James Version of Reality. One of the stories in the book of Genesis. And you see the book of Genesis, imagine the book has maybe about 50 chapters. This is the beginning, you know, with 50 chapters. The Genesis is really chapter 1. That is the Genesis, the creation of man and the planet and the earth and the stars. Chapter 1 is the Genesis. Everything else is a construction. It's a fable. Everything else is great mythologies. Because look at the story of Lot. Yeah, think about the story of Lot. This is a man now, let's say, lives in Sodom. And he's going to be visited by 2 angels. These 2 angels are going to come to him and tell him that he must leave the city because Lord God is about to destroy it. We hear also, while these 2 angels come to visit him, and obviously these angels are male in character, that the men of Sodom come down upon Lot's house and say, hear me now, let out them man there, give them man there because we want to know them. And in the language of knowing, it means they want to have sexual intercourse with these men. So Sodom has this reputation of being a city of gay men and lesbians and all these other type of sexually oriented people. The story tells us that Lot refuses to send the men out and decided, rather than send the men out, he wanted to send his own daughters out, that the men could rape them. This is a man of God now, you know, who's protecting 2 men who are angels and sending out his daughters to be abused. So eventually, according to the story, the men on the outside refuse to take the women because they're more interested in men. And they say the angels strike the man then blind. This is story now, you know. We have to use our imagination. And then tells Lot that he must leave the city because Lord God shall destroy. No, Lord God have a history of destroying a whole heap of things. He destroyed Sodom and he destroyed the world already. He's a destructive, creative being. Now, the story about Lot is so interesting that it boggles the imagination. Lot is told to leave the city. And on the way out, Lot's wife turned around and looked back. And you see what happened to her? Them say she turned into a pillar of salt. Now you imagine Saul standing up. You see, as a youth, it was baffling how Saul could stand up. But you see, in the movies are so powerful that I hear that if you go to a certain place now, you still see the statue of the woman in salt. Obviously, this is some kind of tourist gimmick. But we are left to believe that a woman turned into a pillar of salt. Now, obviously no. It could mean anything. It is open to interpretation. The Virgin said the pillar of salt could be cocaine. It could represent anything. But one thing we know, that there is no literal woman becoming a pillar of salt. And so that whole book of Genesis is all about metaphors, it's all about similes, it's all about interpretation. It is nothing literal. So we return again to Moses. And we return to characters like Noah. And we have no evidence of these men being real people. I'm suggesting that these characters are characters of literature. In the same way, Romeo and Juliet are not real people. They are characters of literature. I am saying Samson, Moses, Noah, Jesus, characters of literature.
Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up for your right. Get up, stand up.
I just don't understand how can the myths of Moses really be called the words of God? The Egyptian writings were called the words of the gods. And the words of the Egyptian writings are nothing in comparison to what Moses has written as the words of God. We're re-examining or rechecking out whose words have we been living on. Because the words of Moses have not been a liberating force. Yes, the words of Moses have been words of enslavement. Cutting us off from our original forces, telling us that there is no other God but Yahweh. What about the gods of ancient Africa? What about Maat? What about Tat? What about Re? What about Jeb? What about our gods and goddesses?
Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Most people think a great God will come from the sky, take away everything and make everybody feel high. But if you know what life is worth, you will look for yours on earth. And now when you see the light, you stand up for your rights. Yeah. Get up, stand up. Yeah, yeah. Stand up for your rights. Get up, stand up. Get up, stand up. Don't give up the fight. Life is your right. Get up, stand up. We can't give up the fight. Stand up for your right. Lord, Lord. Get up, stand up. Keep us traveling on. Don't give up the fight. Yeah.
You're sick and tired of your ism, schism, game. Dine and go to heaven in Jesus' name, Lord. We know and we understand. Almighty God is a living man. You can fool some people sometimes.
My virgin says that Jesus is a myth. What do you say?
Gonna stand up for our rights, yeah. So you better get up, stand up in the morning. Give it up, stand up.
Half a woman, half a ghost. What do you say?
Don't give up the fight. Don't give it up, don't give it up. Get up, stand up. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right. Get up, stand up. Get up, stand up. Your neighborhood. Don't give up the fight. Get up, stand up. Get up, stand up. Stand up for your right.
Portland, the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, and the members of the Breastworks community are inviting you this Saturday, August 24, at the Port Antonio Town Center. It's your health, wellness, and disaster management fair from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Discover how health and wellness can impact your ability to prepare and respond to disasters. Come and hear from the Ministry of Health, the Tax Administration of Jamaica, RGD, the College of Agriculture, Science and Education, UCC, Heart Trust, Red Cross. Bring your friends and your family. See you there.
Hey, are you ready? You ready? All right. All right, let's go. Do you know what time it is? Do you know what time it is? Yes, it's on a Saturday. Every Saturday morning, live on Stars 96.1, the People Station. Here's an invitation to join yours truly, Colin Anthony, the man with all the money, honey. The program is called Smooth Sailing. Every Saturday morning from 9 o'clock until 1 on the p.m. It's gonna be on Styles FM 96.1. Have you got a plan? You've got a plan? We've got a plan. Do remember to join us. Smooth Sailing. Smooth Sailing is supported by Somerset Falls Home in Portland, a little slice of heaven. And Total Tools Sales and Rental, 44 West Street, Port Antonio.
Oh dear, I may say, yo, this is the greatest synergy Port Antonio has ever seen. It's all about the Crazy Fridays revamp. You don't know, featuring the big bad Fire Greg and the musical ingenious Digital T from Stars FM, alongside a guest selector each week. And you don't know, the venue is at Lanzalone Crossroads. Contribution is only a bills. So just come out and feel musical vibes. You know, it's a party we say, yeah. And this is a Stars FM endorsed event. Must be 18 or older to drink, so drink responsibly.
Yes, we're getting stronger, and Babylon I get weaker. Yes, we're stepping up stronger, coming harder, ain't looking back, feeling stronger, ready to launch the attack. Do you remember when we were the cream of the crop? Is Bible at the carbon we got? They took us away from Africa with an intention to kill our culture, but through the power of the Most High, our mental capacity is wider. Come harder,
So the two great lawgivers of the Western civilization, Moses and Jesus. These are the two brains that have captured the imagination of almost the entire black race. People have been locked up in the Christendom. Yes, Moses comes up with these ideas and arguments that he has this connection to some Almighty that exists recently. Because the Almighty that the ancients knew was the Son. The S-U-N is the Almighty that all ancients knew. Now we're hearing about another Almighty. And this Almighty has a Son, a S-O-N. And this S-O-N now shall be sent to save all mankind. Fantasy. So the ancients recognize the Almighty as the S-U-N. So when the Rastaman them in the conference talk about putting all things in the hands of the Almighty, are we putting things in the hands of the S-U-N? I doubt it. Are we putting our hands in the creator of the S-U-N? Because ultimately now, you know, when you tell people and you reason out the reality of the earth, and that the S-U-N is the giver of life, them say, well, the Almighty is the creator of the sun. And it's that Almighty that they're giving praise and worship to. Well, listen, today we are in a position where we can look out into space and look at suns being born. We can look into space and see suns that are dying. So the process of birth and death of the suns within the galaxies has been going on without ending and without any beginning. So there's no ending and there's no beginning to the birth and the death of suns. So we're not concerned then or have to be preoccupied about the creator of the sun. These are forces. These are not people. These are not individual beings. These are forces. Nucleic forces. Magnetic forces. Forces of nature. Forces that move the cosmos. So the Almighty that we have been deceived into accepting cannot be into the format of an individual. The Almighty is the sun, and the force behind the sun are cosmic forces. So liberation comes with knowledge, but apparently we need somebody to care for us. We feel as though the oppression that we feel on this earth is too much, so some support must come from somewhere, and it must be from above. You know, the wickedness that black people experience and the brutality that we experienced through the Middle Passage, we had to believe that there was something off the earth that would help us. Because there was nothing around to help. Yeah, man, these are people in a desperate and brutal condition. And so our only help is above. Yeah, man, that's how we get locked into the above thing, you know. It was murderous on the planet. Right? Barbarity turned loose. Undescribable wickedness. And so the African had to look above, because we can't believe that this was happening to us on the land. But you see, with time and the knowledge and experience of our previous soldiers, we're coming to grips with the reality that there's nothing really above that can help. That Almighty is a power that dwells within. The Almighty is not above, the Almighty is inside. And if each individual was to search for that Almighty, which is the I, the higher I, then the liberation will come almost instantly. Metamorphosis, Vibes FM. Authentic views on news, NEWS, information from the news, from the north, the east, the west, and south. In the North American settings, must speak to this US soldier who has been given a 35-year sentence, Bradley Manning, for what they call revealing state secrets. These state secrets, the United States government think exposes them to great danger, and in that terms, Bradley was accused of espionage, and he has been given 35 years. This is a serious sign and a warning to all those who think that democracy means you can say what you feel like. Because under democracy, there is a set of rules that tell you that you really can't say certain things. And you're not supposed to do certain things because ultimately there's a greater power. So within democracy now, there are certain illusions. There's illusion of equality. There's illusions of fairness. At the foundation of democracy is wealth. And it is a wealthy man who promotes democracy. Because in democracy, the economic aspect of democracy is capitalism. So democracy and capitalism travel hand in hand. And capitalism insists that there must be a large unemployed workforce that will work for low and no wages to create profit. So that is America. That's how the world is running. It's all about profit making. It's all about building up resources on the earth, though we are told that we must ignore it because greater will come when we die in the afterlife. I think we should switch that program and concentrate on the now. Problems again in Egypt, and we understand now that the military is planning to release of all people Mubarak. Yes, Mubarak. This is a story unfolding, and we shall keep track of it, what's really happening in Africa, where democracy was pushed away by, again, the military, and America is backing all that is taking place because of the political strategic role that Egypt plays in that region that they call the Middle East. And you know that it's not going to get much easier in that region because Africa is really where everybody is focusing. The Chinese are focusing in Africa, the Americans are there, the Europeans are there. The need for resources is getting more crucial. And so the African continent is under great desire for everybody except the African people. African people, of course, are being encouraged to leave Africa and to go into North America and to go into Europe, where they can freeze their butts off and suffer in the winters of those places. You know, I'm thinking that maybe something revolutionary need to take place to transform this region. And you know, a couple of years ago there was a 1 million man march in Washington, and I think there was a 100,000 man march somewhere else. You know what we needed? We need 1 million people exodus to come home to Jamaica. Yes, 1 million people should just come home and just demand efficiency and demand transparency and demand proper governance. Yeah man, 1 million people just come home with an experience and the island would change. You don't have to go to Africa, you know. The transformation can take place right in the Caribbean. If 100,000 Jamaicans were to come home from the diaspora, Jamaica would have to change. Because these people would insist on efficiency. They would insist on a discipline that is absolutely lacking on this particular island now. And I notice, you know, when the Jamaican people travel, from the moment we leave the Palisades, Norman Manley Airport, or the Sangsa Airport, we fall in lines. We even call them queues. We become very organized. But I notice that as the plane lands and the door open, one rush to the door and the boogie-yagi behavior begins again. We have to upgrade yard. Let us begin to call it home. Because yard gives you a feeling that it can be untidy and that it can be dirty. I could begin to call our place home. Maybe it will change the vibration. Democracy now, this great value that Americans are going around ramming down people's throat. We see what happened when Bradley Manning speak out. We see what happened to the Snowden, to the snowman. That he has to run away from America, seeking refuge in, of all places, Russia. So democracy, this illusion of being free just because you can vote. So we have been deceived by this voting machinery, while the wealthy controls the public spaces, while the wealthy control the media, while even a sister like Africa would be chastised for her freedom of speech. Hear this.
I never cuss no bad word. I never incite no violence. So to the freedom of speech, we only talk what the people have said. I want this. It's my freedom of speech. You want tell me say me free, but me dumb me can't speak. What happened to my freedom of speech? It's a breach of democracy to stop me from speak. Yes, it is my freedom of speech. Agree to disagree, that's the way it ought to be. Yes, it is my freedom of speech. Now that your censorship in my freedom. You want us to be free and dumb, but that now go up, so go wheel and come. Remember that you only will be fooling some. So allow me make me talk for what me want and believe in. Yes, you have a right, me have a right too. So you can't force me to stand up behind you. Two roads before you, them say pick your choice. So me choose to pick the one you was straight and nice. It's my freedom of speech. I tell me say me free, but me dumb me can't speak.
It seems as if anytime I lick out upon the gay people, them are speak it out right, we have violated something, but they can also say what they want because they are oriented in that specific way. So the democracy now seems to be leaning up in favor of the gay and lesbian society. Is it because they have access to money? Is it about wealth? Is it about wealth? This democracy.
Campaign for ban it, cause artists' rights to no love trample upon it. Medical marijuana is the future, and we have the best right here in Jamaica. It is my freedom of speech. I tell me say me wrong, my right me can't speak. Yes, it is my freedom of speech. It's a breach of democracy to stop me from speaking. Yes, it is my freedom of speech. Agree to disagree, that's the way it ought to be. Yes, it is my freedom of speech. Now that your censorship, you know my freedom. I can't do it, no, I can't do it. Sell out my nation. No, I can't do it, no, I can't do it. So you know I forgive me, no congratulations. I can't do it, no, I not do it. Sell out my nation. No, I can't do it.
Bus fare is rising, $100 now in Kingston. Dollar ride. I tell you, yeah, no more jingling on the bus. Everything is papers. $100. Rural fare is going up very shortly. So, I don't know, it's getting harder to move from Kingston to Dallas, to Morant Bay, Port Antonio. Getting taller, getting harder. And you know, when I man travel to the junction, it's 5 across in the safe boat style. Tough yard. Y'all get tough, you know. Yes, they are getting tough, but the planet itself is our home. So we're going to make the most of where we live.
I tell myself me right, but me right me can't. Hey, what happened to my freedom of speech? It's a breach of democracy to stop me from speech. Yes, it is my freedom of speech. Agree to disagree, that's the way it ought to be.
Hard music.
One civilization is not complete without its art, the highest form of expression of human intelligence. You have become complacent, sitting down and allowing the other nations to run away with everything. You have become a bunch of consumers. You are creators. Rise up, mighty people, accomplish what you will. Without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life.
Let's look away the voices that keep the people bright. Now we're plunging into darkness. We all have to play our part, make a bold start. Every district, tell every artist.
Back to school blues, killing the people. Oh, everybody buying, everybody balling, everybody balling, everybody balling. Because of education. the cost of medicine, the cost of transportation, the cost of living, and the cost of dying. Even the skirts rising.
Wish they were around. She shouldn't have to be like this. Marcus Garvey, we know so you try your best, but we have figured out the rest. Them grade up the shot at them, now we have a lot of them. Press up, pop up, now the grave them a go back at them. Them broke the national bird wing. Sell we out clean, me no think we own a damn thing. Jam rock why we giving in to the trick where them a trick we from the beginning. Parents you need to wake up from this slumbering is with children. Blood them is running. It's times like this, I'm missing our heroes.
You have to recognize also now this early statement that I made when the program just opened up. I think we are overwhelmed by insanity now on this island. Yes, insanity is taking over Jamaica. The music that is called dancehall is an important element in driving the people insane. Because dancehall message is about bad mind and grudgefulness. It's about war. It's about gunshots. It's not about upliftment. It's not about tranquility. It's not about your blackness. It's about grudgefulness. It's about all sort of negativity. No, we are told that this is what the youth them see, and they're only singing about reality. But you see, reality has several dimensions to it. You can project reality that is depressing, and you can project a reality that is uplifting and positive. So the dancehall music have people thinking that mad and sick is normal. That when a man is really sick, we cannot detect sickness in that man. That when a man is insane, we laugh it off and say the man is mad. But you see, mad and sick and hothead and grabber, it has taken its toll on our society right here on Jamrock. Yeah man, this grabber, this hothead, this mad music, this sick music. The evolution of reggae music from ska to rocksteady into reggae was about liberation, about messages of upliftment. Dancehall has turned a corner. There is no message of liberation. There is no upliftment. The message is about madness, about sickness. We have to begin to consider seriously how to change the nature of the lyrics in this thing called dancehall. It's no longer exportable because you can't export this stuff, and people are going to spend their money and ingest this. People want to hear what you're saying, and they want to know what you're saying will make them feel better. So the madness is in the society. I mean, I tell you, so much mad people out there know that when a man mad and walk past, you have to ignore him because it is normal. But when that man pulls a gun and goes on his head hunting, we all become very alarmed. Time to re-examine. We have people at the university now who have been boosting up this dancehall culture. They have been giving it authenticity and ignoring the reality that it is a destructive force. Yes, that is my view in this time.
Are you ready? 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 When the roll is call out, I'll be standing taller to face the darkest and the hardest of times. We'll be taking care of all the children thereof, but if it's required, we'll be on the front line. You can call me by my name, I am ready to roll. Once the rules remain the same, how the story's been told. Call me anytime, never cop out. Lioness is on the rise.
the formula, do what I have to do, and call me by my name. I am ready to roll. Once the rules remain the same, how the story's been told. Call me anytime, never pop out. Lioness is on the rise, don't you ever have doubts. When you are willing to serve, we have room to observe, to see if you can walk the walk you tough. Let me give you my word, my voice must be heard. Bravery is a piece of my heart. Call me by my name, I am ready to roll. Once the rules remain the same, how the story's been told. Call me anytime, never cop out. A lioness is on the rise.
I want to heal up Splash 94.1 FM over there in New Jersey, sending out the Metamorphosis to 13 cities and into the World Wide Web itself. Give thanks to all the people who are listening through that particular station. The people in Connecticut, the people in Florida, the people right here in Port Antonio, Shatova. Yes, right here in Bombrook, Rice Peace Road, Litchfield Hill, Downtown Road, Wayne Road, Anchovy Scheme, all the way across into St. Thomas, Golden Grove, my brethren, Sewell. People in Port Maria, Zion Hill, St. Mary, Osaboda over there in St. Catherine. Hail all the people across this fair island that is celebrating Black August, while we celebrate the results of our athletes, Superman Bolt and Superwoman Shelly Ann. Great things happening in the world of sport.
A lioness is on the rise, ready to roll.
Calling Rastafari, calling Rastafari, sons and daughters of His Majesty. Rastafari one executive body to represent all Rastaman, to represent all Rasta woman, to represent all Rasta people. Calling Rastafari, sons and daughters of His Majesty.
Yes, Rastafari is what they're looking at, looking through the conference that took place in the University of the West Indies. And I started by give you a little insight into what really happened in Montego Bay, into this event that was called the Coral Gardens Massacre. And as a report, this is written by Professor Carlin Cooper, and she goes on in the document to tell us that there were two kinds of Rastafarians, you know. There was the dreadlocks and the comb sum. Yeah, we need to understand this now. Now, one of the important factors that led to this disturbance was the issue of land. Yeah, we don't really get that fully, but here it is. Franklin and several other bearded men had been squatting on land in Coral Gardens. So the concept of squatting going on in this country for the longest time, wherein the crown and the church control all the lands and leave the African people to squat. So Franklin, who was his bearded brethren, call him Franco, he had a big grievance against the owner of this gas station named Ken Douglas. Now he and several of his brethren were squatting on land in Coral Gardens, and they lived there in relatively peace until the land was sold to Douglas. They were seeing something that has been recurring in Jamaica. So naturally, the new owner decided to exercise his right over the property, and they attempted to move the man them off of the land. As this is often the case, people them refuse to move. So during one of these attempts to evict the Rastaman them, the policeman them shoot Franklin. Franklin get a shot. Now, he survived the gunshot, but the doctor them tell him, say, "You're a virgin. The bullet is lodged in your body, you know, and we can't get it out, and you're soon dead." So my virgin get irate now and decide to take revenge. So at the time now, there were the two groups of Rastafarians living in Montego Bay. The Dreadlocks and the Comsom. The Dreadlocks lived on Railway Lane, and the Comsom squatted in Coral Gardens. Now, Franklin, who was a Rastaman who upset with the Virgin Douglas, he proposed that two set of Rastaman them burn down Montego Bay. Yeah, man, the man say, we could unite and burn down Montego Bay. Well, the Dreadlocks them say, boy, we can't accept that because a peace and love we are deal with. Well, it's a Franklin. Franklin said, boy, right now, me no really, me can't follow one, you know. He said, to me done dead already. Me I go through with what me I plan for doing now. And what Franklin did now, instead of burning down all of Montego Bay, him second for burn down Douglas gas station. And on the morning of the attack, there was only one attendant at the station, a man named George Plummer. And him run for him life. Him never want anything to do with it. However, there was another man named Marsh. Him control the motel and him decide to go to find what's happening. And him lose for him life. So by midday, 7 other people were killed, including Franklin. So them say, according to the Gleaner reports, on April 13th, 1963, the Montego Bay Fire Brigade responded to a fire alert at 4:53 a.m. And the blaze at the gas station was brought under control after 5 a.m., led by Superintendent Sidney Burke. So, it was no big fire. But then they decided to chase Rastafarians all over the place. And they chased the Rastaman up into the hills. Up, you know, and the fight went on, gunshot fire, and thing and thing and thing. Eventually now, the premier of the country, Bustamante, declared that all Rastas must come in, dead or alive. This was a response of the government to the actions of 6 bearded men. Justice has not been served on those who brutalized Rastafari in this time. It was a Rasta woman who had to come to the rescue of the Rastaman them. And the women had to hide the Rastaman them. And one woman, we know, had to cut open her mattress, put it to stand up, and put her man inside of it, and lock him inside the mattress, just to save him from the brutality of the state. Yeah, the women in Rastafari, important force.
Hail to the sons and daughters of Jah, Rastafari. Hail to the one who got the faith in it, Selassie, I and Listen to me, I said I really got the feeling. I got the Rasta feeling. I really got the spirit. I got the Rasta spirit. I got the Rasta feeling. I said I got the feeling.
Yeah, the role of woman in the Rastafari tradition, I think it's a underreported experience. I think the Rasta woman them need to come forward. Yes, I'm beginning to speak as an organized force in this movement. You know, because Christianity is heavily driven by the male patriarchal framework. Rastafari, coming out of that condition, tend to want to follow the precepts set of this male-dominated ideology. We want the Rasta woman them step up. We want the Rasta woman them present them voice. We want the Rasta women now who have been exposed to education come onto the front page and stop staying behind the virgin them and complain about virgin them not doing enough. Yeah man, they want the woman them now step up. Because I say once a woman begin to become politically conscious, the whole picture will change. Right now in Jamaica, there are no militant black women. All the women in Jamaica are soft. Yeah man, me I say so. Pure soft woman. All the women are pursuing material benefits, financial status, hair and nails. Where is the consciousness of the black woman? Come in front, speaking about the liberation. Where is the black woman running away that man who has been put to divide her family? We're talking about the man that they construct to put into the family of the African household, that has diminished the real African man and has given prior power to this concept of a Holy Ghost. Yeah man, we want the African woman step up and begin to reject this Holy Ghost. Because it's a man, I am saying the role of the man primarily and first and foremost is to protect. The period of enslavement showed that the black man was no longer in a position to protect his black woman. The woman needing protection was given this image of this man who will be her savior. We need the black woman to wake up that there's no man that will save her that's outside of her African man. There's no man sitting in the heavens waiting. There's no man that is perfect, because the perfect man is an illusion. Yeah man, it's mathematically created. So we want the Rasta woman them become politically active. Yeah man, we don't see no Rasta woman in Jamaica. We don't see no black woman in Jamaica like a Sojourner Truth, a Harriet Tubman, a Rosa Parks. Are our women so vain? Are our women so material that they will not see the importance of building the race? I know that historically women have been trying to protect their children from the enslavement, but in protecting the children, our generations has become soft. We say militancy, what we need. Is there any militant black woman out there? Give me a call.
You're trying to conquer me. You never will conquer me. You're trying to.
At the conference, there were Rasta women. Yes, I must tell you that. No. Sister Mitzi, Mother Moses, Queen Mother Moses, Professor Vereen Shepherd, quite a few women who are part of the resistance movement. And we saw them in their numbers at the Rastafarian conference. Now that the conference is over, just that we don't feel the presence of those women outside of that gathering. So something needs to be done. We're saying the Rasta woman them, the Rasta woman need to organize themselves and present political positions. Yeah man, the man them kinda soft. The man them kinda tired. The man them unemployed. The man them basically powerless to an extent. So if the power has been passed on, let us say, to the woman, it's not about abuse. It's about recognizing the status of the race. And that although man is traditionally put forward as a leader, conditions show that the woman now must step up. Yeah man, we need some black women in leadership. Not in the political arena necessarily, in the conscious arena, in the economics. Yeah man, a different talk. New times, new lyrics, new arguments, new type of woman.
Trying to conquer me. Yeah. I've been trying a long time, still I can't make it. Everything I try to do seems to go wrong. It seems I have done something wrong. Why they trying to keep me down? Oh, God bless, no one curse. Thank God I'm not the worst. Better must come one day. Better must come.
This is a song that was used by one of the political parties to tell the people that better would come. And at the same time, here we are now, 2012, and there is nothing better coming. Rastafari, of course, have been trying to identify the way forward. But the spirituality of Rastafari now cannot take it all the way. Obviously, what is needed now is a sound economic program. And until Rastafari begins to speak to economics and politics, and I will be left to memory. Yes, and those people will just make reference to what Rastafari used to say. But the doing part now is the doing. And after the conference and all of those papers and presentations, almost, I could tell you something. That Thursday that I attended, that final day, who was there, who I would call the who is who in Rastafari. Yes, all the important icons of Rastafari made their presence felt during that week, globally and locally. But it had to go beyond a show, because we are very good at performing. But when it comes to action, translation of ideas into practicality, we tend to stumble right there. So why is it we are so good at creating ideas and so weak at effecting them? Where is our will? We talk about the will. I am saying maybe we have turned our will over to this concept called the Almighty. And so when we must generate willpower, push ideas across, we shut down. Because some way, somehow, we leave it into the hands of the Almighty. Yeah, it's about time now we begin to take things in our hands.
Once upon a time, I almost lost my mind. I was lonely. I was lonely. Once upon a time, hoping every day things would come my way. I was lonely. I was lonely. Once upon a time. I wanna get high, so high. 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 One more.
Yeah, well, the ganja now is also a major issue. And while the Prime Minister spoke in the conference, here's someone out out, legalize it! Legalize it! Yeah, man, whoop man a block some sound while the Prime Minister spoke. But I want to speak to this new thrust to legalize what they're calling medical marijuana. A lot of the states in America are getting to the point now where they are convinced that they can control the economy in a direct way if they were to legalize the sales of marijuana. They have worked with the mathematics, and they have cited that the state and the government is set to benefit in great figures if they were to legalize the substance. Now, on this little rock here now called Jamaica, we just follow waves. We don't set trends in certain areas. We follow the wave. So because the wave is on now to legalize medical marijuana, everybody in Jamaica jump on that. And so the Rastafarian community has been led to believe that the legalization of marijuana is somehow in their own best interest. I am saying to the ones them now that the legalization of medical marijuana will not help our country economically. It will not provide any jobs. It will not provide any income for our people. The medical marijuana requires high science and technology to generate the products. So obviously it's a very wealthy states that will benefit from the legalization of marijuana. It also drives the poor black man out of business whose hustle is marijuana. So the legalization of marijuana for medical purposes is a red herring. It's a distraction for Rastafari. Because as much as Rastafari have been yearning for free usage of the sacrament based upon religion, the state has rejected it outrightly. Now the state is seemingly turning a corner, and I'm saying to Rastafarians, wake up. I'm saying to the people of Jamaica, medical marijuana is not a solution to our economics. The solution to our economics lies in the industrialization of the hemp. And nobody speaks about the hemp. So we're being clouded with smoking marijuana. And the liberation financially comes through the growing and through the industrialization of hemp and hemp seeds. Let us not be distracted by the smoke of marijuana. Our economic liberation rests in industrialization. And the industrialization of the cannabis is the way forward for African, Caribbean, and Pacific countries. It will take idle hands and put them to work. It will put farmers to work. It will transform the economy from the base up. Yeah, I will not be tricked by the legalization of marijuana. And you should not be tricked either. We need to industrialize hemp seeds. We need to industrialize the hemp plant. Make them and them go on with them smoking marijuana. Let the medical marijuana take its own course. Poor countries, let us grow hemp. We have the land, we have the farmers, we have the products. That is the liberation. Manufacturing.
To be someone to be known, but you're near in your mind and a half furlong. Don't give up now, just pray for strength now. For you I dedicate my song. La 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 We are the state once in the plantation, lashes to a skin. On auction blocks, chain and coat, and a
Can't find a Rasta woman them at all. Rasta woman them claim say them can't find a Rasta man. I was in Kingston in a publishing house and I had one woman attack me asking me why is it Rasta man love white woman so? And I'm saying to the sister, maybe it's the other way around. Maybe it's the white women who just love the Rasta man them so. So when I said it to her that way, she said, why? I said, look at it this way. If you, the black woman, refuse to love I, the Rasta man, certainly we're not lovers of each other. Because Rasta man don't love one another as men. So we are there as man. And here comes these, quote unquote, Caucasian women searching for pleasure. And here is the Rasta man in Jamaica, isolated. What do you think the man is going to do? You could think about it. Yes, because if the woman here don't want Iman, and the foreigner comes and think Iman is of value, what should Iman do? You tell me.
Not that which is wrong. I heard Rachel mourning for her children.
So when the woman decided to trod Rastafari, I think it's a very brave trod. A lot of our sisters may look at her as strange. How can she be treading Rastafari and how can she be embracing His Imperial Majesty? Yeah, these are things now that the one I'm going to bring a sister into the studio very shortly that she can help us to explain her journey. How did she get to overstand His Imperial Majesty? How did she get out of Europe? How did she escape the white, blue eye, blonde hair concept of Jesus? The problem also is that enough African people who are enough black people who tried in Rastafari are still searching for this illusionary or this savior called Jesus. And many people in Rastafari are trying to turn His Imperial Majesty into the Jesus return. There's another issue of controversy where we can sort out another time. Because if the first Jesus is an illusion, then be careful what you're trying to do with His Imperial Majesty. Yes, but be very careful. Because the first Jesus that we hear about is really a fictional character. Nobody has any real records of the movements of this character. But His Imperial Majesty is a reality. And so we have to move with what is real. So the women in Rastafari who cite up His Majesty, yeah, blackness and power unto the item. To the women in Rastafari who see the need for education, also vital because His Majesty speaks about the importance of education. Obviously now leadership becomes a problem because when the man has no funding, then the economic balance shifts. And the woman treading Rastafari develops a power that she's not accustomed to, which is the power to be financially strong and actually be stronger than the man. And I'm saying to the daughters them now, don't reject the man them because they seem to be financially unable. Just recognize the powers of the Roman system and that if the man is unemployed, it doesn't mean the man cannot be of value, because the man's value should not be weighed only upon what the man can bring into the home in terms of money. The family obviously is more than money. We're at a crossroad, you know, we're at a crisis because the family is under attack. The women are being isolated. What is the future for Rasta children? The system is already difficult. Where is a Rasta institution? Where is a Rastafari bank? Rastafari school? The clinics? Come here. It can't be just about making music. It's about building institutions that can take us into posterity. Metamorphosis.
I stand strong with a Babylon
You know what would happen if all Rastafari was to enumerate and just don't vote? Just enumerate and hold that power. Yeah, let's think about that. And of course at the conference, I met up into Asta Block, Asta Block. Asta Block has run in every election. And the Prime Minister told him that he's running for the wrong party. Asta Block insists that when he gets into power, when he claims state power, things will change. There's also the Marcus Garvey movement, who claim that when they get into power, things will change. What this island really needs is a coalition of government. It needs the People's National Party, it needs the Jamaica Labour Party, it needs the Marcus Garvey movement, it needs Asta Block, it needs all the parties operating as a grand coalition. The great mighty Germany, strong economic power, considering going the route of the coalition. So Rastafari, in 1978, at the Peace Conference, Peace Concert, it was Robert Nesta Marley who had the power to bring Michael Manley and Edward Seaga together on the stage, trying to show the island that the tribal groups could come together. It is Rastafari that has tried to unite this country. So, at this point in time, because the talent is divided between the PNP and the JLP and the Marcus Garvey movement, the suggestion now being put forward is that we consider having a grand coalition government. Yeah man, where we get the best talent from both groups, get best talent from all groups, and make the island more efficient. Again, Rastafari putting forward the suggestions for greater liberty on this rock. You see, I had to tell Asta Block that if Rastafari get into the parliament as it exists, Rastafari will begin to talk about we and them. Because the parliamentary structure was constructed to extract from this country. So anybody goes in there, no matter what intentions you have that are positive, once you get in there, you become a member of a gang of pirates. So Rastafari in the house of pirates, we would have Rastafari pirates. And so the whole movement will crash. So we don't need to get into parliament. We need to reconfigure the power structure. Reconsider the whole notion of governance. Deconstruct central government. Put political power in regions. New ideas. Rastafari presenting ways forward.
Roots. Tell me now, are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Are you ready for some roots? Rock us today. We're ready, we're ready, we're ready. Them say them ready for it. Say them ready for it. Say them ready for some roots. Rock us today. Them ready, them ready, them ready. Tell you what, here come the kings to take control.
And so the conference ended up paying homage to the Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonsalves. The conference paid honor to the Honorable Neville O'Reilly Livingston, OJ, CD, also known as Bonnie Whaler. The conference also made mention of Elder Ross Maurice Fabian Clark. There was a small presentation from the brethren who went to Africa in that first mission to Africa. Sam Clayton, Brother Alvaranga. This is part of the history of Rastafari in Jamaica. That 60th mission to Africa by Rastafarians searching out the home. Because the Rastafarians from day one have been insisting that continent of Africa should not be swapped for an island. In this point in time, Rastafarians must focus a little bit more now, not just on the continent, but maybe focus now on home. Home meaning this land that we have been here for the last 500 years. Yes, this is where we have been for the last 500 years. So it's a home base. And the rest of the world looks onto this place as a special space. So rather than abandon this space, maybe it's time Rastafari concentrate now on the governance of this place. And I is taxpayer. And the taxing even the very oxygen that we live in, that we breathe. So we need to get representation for our taxation. Let us think about enumerating, but simply not voting. Power is what we need.
Are you ready for it? Are you ready for it? Are you ready for some
Marcus Garvey told us we must get power in all forms. Economical, military, social, scientific. All forms of power is what we need to liberate ourselves. The Almighty, make us left that alone. And let us put our almighty strength together. Yes, and transform this plantation. Ear up to Dirks and the people up in Norwich Heights. Yes, ear up to the people on Titchfield Hill. Ear up to Patrick. Can't leave you out. People over in Passy Gardens. People, Chepso the place name. Yes, my brethren up there, listening to the program consistently. Hear my brethren. Yeah, and of course, Bongo up in Breastworks. I hear to the eye dip on the program. Enough. Peace unto the eye. Of course, Crazy Friday and Lanza Lawn and the DJs of Stars FM. That's where they are now. So, if you can make a move, make a move. Of course, Empress Valerie, good night, good morning. Yeah, Metamorphosis in the month of August, Black August, celebrating ourselves fearlessly, knowing that the only thing constant about nature is that nature is always changing. And so we are unafraid of change. We actually welcome change. Yeah. So birth, marriage, death, changes, natural, inevitable. Mr. Jacko, don't see a long time, but I know say you're cooling out. That is Mrs. V. Jacko. And to the other Miss Jacko, won't you go be peace and love to the idea. All to the virgins in Africa, virgins in North America, Delaware people, Rasdowna, Anton Swire. Yeah, all the man them who don't eat for the longest time. Makonnen. Last man. Fly forward into the farming again. Rosie, coming out of Austria. Concerned about the people who are refugees. We have a lot of them all around the world now. The world has been displaced by war. But peace to the people who are searching for themselves. Love to one and all. I'm on Black. Out.
Your teeth are trained.